Welcome back to another brow lamination tutorial. I'm going to cover all different brow textures so it's relevant for everyone who's following along. So at this point you need to determine the texture of the brows you're going to be working on. If these brows are a normal textured brow, I'd recommend leaving the first solution on for around 5 minutes. If the brows were a little bit finer, I'd recommend around 4 minutes, and if they were a little bit thicker, I'd recommend around 6 minutes. So I'm going to apply step 1 through the brows, really working that product through, trying not to be too slow as timing's really important with this step. You want to be stretching those hairs out as much as you can, really making sure that product's all the way through the eyebrows. You don't need as much product as you think, just as long as you've got a nice even coverage, that'll work just fine. I'm happy with the product application, so I'm going to go ahead and put the film on. You now want to be setting your timer for however long it needs to be staying on for. Mine's going to be on for 5 minutes, so I'm going to set my timer for 5 minutes. So my 5 minutes is up, and I'm just going to peel back the first brow, and I'm just going to take off all the product and just check and make sure all the hairs are broken down and they're all sat in the position I'd like them to sit in. Now go over the area with a wet cotton pad just to make sure you've removed all the product. I've just noticed on the left brow there's a few hairs that haven't quite relaxed, so I'm just going to apply the product again just to that area for about 30 seconds, and that'll just flatten them exactly how I want them. This is totally fine to do, but you just want to make sure you don't leave it on for too long because you can over process the brows, just as long as you're monitoring it really closely and you're only applying it on the hairs that need it. Moving on to step 2, you're going to work the product through the brows the same way you did step 1. So it's really important to sit these in the position that you want them to sit in, because this is how they're going to look when you finish the treatment. Now I'm going to set my stopwatch for 7 minutes. Check your instructions for your timings. You don't have to put the film on right away. You can have a minute just perfecting them, just sitting them in the position that you want them to sit in before the film actually goes on. So using the brush, I've now sat them in the position I would like them to sit in, so now the film can go on. Time's up, so the film can now come off and you can now remove the product with your applicator. Then go over with a damp cotton pad just to make sure you've got rid of all the residue. I'm now going to mix my tint. The ratio is always 1 to 2, and then I'm going to apply to the eyebrows. The brand of tint I'm using is HD Brows, and it's really unique because you can apply this product all over the brow area without it staining the skin. As with most other brands, you've got to apply this neatly as it'll stain the skin. The tint's been on for around a minute or so, so I'm going to take it off with a damp cotton pad. Most other brands take longer to develop than this, so make sure you check the instructions. I'm going to map out the brows, so using a pencil and an applicator, I'm just going to measure from the corner of the nose up into the eyebrow and the corner of the nose up into the corner of the eye. This will give me my start and finish line, and then the rest of the brows you can draw in how thick or thin you'd like to put your waxing lines. I always use barrier when I've laminated the brows, as they become more sensitive and you're more likely to graze. To use a barrier, I apply a little bit of oil to a cotton bud. You can use any oil really. All you do is apply this to a cotton bud and apply it all around the brow area. Unfortunately, at this point, my camera cuts out, but I applied a little powder over the oil. This absorbs the oil and puts a barrier in between the skin and the wax. So we're now ready to do the waxing. So we're going to pull the skin nice and taut, and now we're going to apply the wax. So a little goes a long way, and you can keep going over the wax to keep working it until it's sat in the position you want it to sit in. Make sure the skin's pulled taut, and then you can go in and apply your strips. I like to apply my strips one by one. This makes it a little bit more precise and it gives you a cleaner finish. It's important to make sure your eyebrows are brushed down before you wax the tops, as you don't want the wax to get caught on those hairs that you've just brushed up. I'm now going to cleanse the area so it's free from any wax residue. I use an oil cleanser. You can use any type of oil cleanser for this stage. Brush the brows into shape and check where you need to thread. So I always like to thread above the brow area where all those fluffy blonde hairs are, and on the eyelid where you have those little fluffy blonde hairs also. And if there's any stray hairs you've missed, just tweeze them out. So I didn't trim any hairs today with my scissors, as I wanted them to sit as natural as possible, but if you need to do this, this would be the time. So I'm just going to finish with a little bit of brow highlighter under the brow bone and a few pro pencil strokes. That's it, they're all finished. Thanks for watching my brow lamination tutorial video. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. And if you've got any questions, please leave them in the comment below. Thank you.